Hey guys, David from Halloween Horror World and Horror Night Update is here with a review of Halloween Horror Nights 2017 on my webcam. Wow, this is harkening back to when I first started on 2013's videos when I started using a webcam. My camera's unfortunately having issues at the moment, having to upload it onto the computer that I currently edit on. So, to get this out as quickly to you guys as possible, to give my thoughts on the event this year, I decided to use this really cool webcam that my brother Anfield has given me. So so let's jump right into it. So what are my thoughts on this year? Well, coming off 2016, which was an amazing year, it was definitely high up there on my favorite years. From going to the event for 11 years now, and it's definitely high up there. And there was a lot of hopes and a lot of expectation for 2017's event. Did it live up to that? Unfortunately not. And it's one of those things where Horror Nights is still enjoyable regardless. Even if it's an iffy year, I'll still enjoy it. It's a very mixed bag year, this one. There are some good things. I'm not saying it's all bad. In fact, there was a few standout things. I really enjoyed Insidious. The Shining was a lot better than what I thought it would be. But let's jump right into the nitty-gritty of it. So what were the mazes like? That's the meat of the event. Well, let's start with The Shining, the most highly anticipated maze for this year. It was alright. I ended up enjoying it more than what I thought I would. In what I said in my previous videos, is my expectation wasn't completely high because it's like The Exorcist. It's one of those mazes that is very hard to adapt, and it turned out to be a lot of fun. I got quite a few scares out of them. Some of the scare placements were very well done. But there were some kind of, I'm going to walk through this area and I've lost all sense of fear right now. More of it's just kind of jump scares. The thing with The Shining is it has a fantastic ambiance when you get to the front of the maze, with the fog, the classic music playing from the film, and the narration by the old caretaker. There is a lot of good at that facade. It definitely gives you the creeps, but as you go through the maze, it just becomes a cliche. It loses that immersion, if that makes sense. It loses that sense of fear that you kind of get a setup for. The environments are kind of, well, it's not necessarily the mazes, simply because The Shining is not a frightening film. I mean, it's disturbing in some ways, but it's not a frightening film. So you lose this kind of, it's really lit in some areas, and you just lose that sense of fear. And then any jumps that come out are just kind of minor jump scares. And then you're just walking through a very lovely looking maze. But that doesn't distract from the fact that, for me, it was one of the highlights of the night that I went, because it did get me a couple times. Not many mazes now make me jump, but The Shining was able to pull that off, so that's why I gave it a 4 out of 5. Moving on from that, Insidious Beyond the Further. Now, I'm a big fan of the original Insidious mazes. I love 2013's maze. I love all those ones from Into the Further and Return to the Further, and now Beyond the Further. Definitely a very enjoyable maze, a very dark maze, which I think set up for some really good scares. The Fallout siren was really a good effect. It definitely creeped me out going through that maze, and I think it was scarier than the maze we had back in 2015. It was one of those mazes where no matter no matter what you go through, it's still probably going to make you jump quite significantly. So I really ended up enjoying Insidious. The costumes were very good. The Key Demon was a very interesting addition, to the maze. So I really enjoyed that. The costumes, again, really on par, and we had our own kind of Orlando moment. And what I mean by that is, not many times will Hollywood do a kind of really cool set design where there's like bars on each side, or a wall with holes in it where there's actors on both sides. Not many times will you see that. You see that a lot in Orlando, but you don't see it in Hollywood. So it was really cool going through, seeing on both sides there were prison bars, and on one side was an actor and one fake dummy, and then the Key Demon would come out. So very well done there. So I gave that one also 4 out of 5, simply because it was very effective in its scares for the night. I think I got the most scares out of Insidious than any other maze that night. We also have Ash vs. the Evil Dead. Now, this is another one I was really looking forward to, but I must admit I was disappointed with it. There was quite a few of the infamous black walls trying to fill up the space, and it took you out of it a little bit. The Ash masks were mediocre. They weren't awful, but they weren't great either. I would have much preferred the Orlando route where it was makeup with the actors. I mean, yeah, they might have looked younger than what Bruce Campbell is, but it would have probably been a bit more effective. The one thing I was really disappointed with, and you know, we can't do everything, but I was kind of disappointed, so I won't hold this against the maze, was the in Orlando they had the Ashy Slashy puppet, which I would have loved to have seen in the maze itself, but the Hollywood one was lacking in it. It did not have the Ashy Slashy puppet. There was the Ashy Slashy sign on the house, but the puppet was absent from it, and I was really looking forward to, for a comedy maze, that would have been great to see, and it would have been really funny too. The one thing I will praise this maze for, though, was the Henrietta puppet in the basement. That was very well done. It was very creepy, and the design on it, props to the Universal team for bringing that to life, because it was fantastic, very well done. So the Henrietta puppet is one of the highlights of this maze. However, again, the maze is broken up with a lot of black walls, and it just takes you out of it. Kudos to one scare that did get me was when you went through the house, the old cabin in the woods, and you had Pablo there with the Necronomicon attached to his face, and you had a door to the right where a child demon would come out. That didn't scare me, but what did was there was a window with a curtain in front of it, so you couldn't see what was behind it, but then another demon came really close out of the window, and it did make me jump, so that was a highlight. So I gave it a 3 out of 5 for that maze. I wish it could have been better. If they do more seasons, I hope they bring this maze back just so they can improve upon it. Next we have Saw, the games of Jigsaw. Now, this maze was one that I wasn't hyped for. I mean, we've had Saw in the past, we've had it multiple times, and what can you really do with Saw? I mean, don't get me wrong, every time they do a Saw maze, the sets are fantastic. It's one of the few mazes where it's consistently, like, it's designed to look like a warehouse. There's rarely any black walls, so it works really well, and the traps look absolutely fantastic. I'm not taking anything from that, but because it's a repeat maze, I've seen it all before, and it kind of takes it away. Now, if you've never been to the event, I guess it would be a bit more an enjoyable attraction. So I can't demote it for the fact that we have it again. What I will demote it for in particular was the lack of scares. There was I counted maybe three pigmen through the whole maze, and the scare actors because they were mainly trap victims, and they rarely did anything. They were more showpieces rather than actual people out to scare you. The pigmen rarely showed up, which was fairly disappointing. So that really was a damper for me. I gave it 2.5 out of 5. Having thought about it, and the maze itself looks amazing. Scare-wise, very lacking, and that's one of the things you want from Horror Nights, is a really good, frightening maze. The one thing I will say was really cool from the maze, which was a highlight for me, was the new trap from Jigsaw, which I did see, and it was really cool seeing it in the maze and then seeing it in the film, was the saw blade tunnel, where you have to walk through in these, I guess, I didn't touch them, but I'm guessing they're either wood or plastic. Saw blades come through the wall and then in front of you, which was really well done. So I have to say kudos to that, because that was a really cool idea. We need more stuff like that at the event, more interactive environments, not just simply scare actors jumping out. The event has to evolve, and I think I'll do a video on that a bit further later on, but it was really exciting to see something new and interactive, which makes the event a lot more fun, I think, if there's something brand new to go through the maze with. So yeah, Games of Jigsaw, fun maze, just we've seen it all before, and the lack of scares really brought it down quite significantly. The more scares probably would have brought it up to a 3.5, but there was barely any scares for it. So moving on, we had American Horror Story Roanoke. This was based off season 6 of American Horror Story, and unlike a lot of people, I actually really enjoyed season 6. The ending, I agree with everyone, was lackluster, but they changed the ending in the maze, which was really cool. They did a giant Wicker Man scare actor, which was really cool, and then they had a final Pigman to scare you out of the maze. Very good combo. Definitely really enjoyable. As for the actors themselves, spot on. Really enjoyed it. Got a few scares out of it. It was lacking in some places because there was a lot of open space, but the scares were there. Very enjoyable. Now, having thought about having time to think about what I saw and experienced through the maze, I would definitely give it a 3.5 out of 5, because there was a few things lacking, but it made up for it with the scares. Unlike Jigsaw, which didn't have any scares, this one actually did. Very good jump scares. Didn't get as many as, say, Insidious or Shining, but still very enjoyable. The sets were spot on. The creative team did a fantastic job recreating the sets from season 6. Moving on to the upper lot, we have the Horrors of Blumhouse, which was a mishmash of different Blumhouse films, starting with The Purge in an outside scare zone. That was still part of the house, but it was definitely a long one. It was definitely a good distance to get to the house through the Purge scare zone. So basically they were cutting up the Purge Gauntlet from last year and adding on, which is kind of a cool idea. We've never had a maze start outside really before. But that was really a fun little bit. But as you got into the maze, it was Happy Death Day, which I did see the film, and again, just like Jigsaw, it was interesting seeing the maze first and then going to see the film. It was alright. It didn't scare me at all. I'm sorry, the baby face thing doesn't scare me, but again, this comes down to sets. Just like what I said with Jigsaw, the sets were really well done. There was a lack of black walls, which was good. Every corner was decorated to look like the film. I love the repeat room. It was kind of cool to take that idea from the film and put it in the maze. And yeah, it was definitely an interesting thing. But like I said, it didn't scare me. The scares were a little bit lacking on that. Again, scares come down to different people. Some people are scared of different things, but unfortunately, it didn't scare me. So moving on from that, we had something I was really looking forward to, which was Sinister, which is a film I've wanted to see as a maze for the longest time, and we kind of got this kind of cookie cutter version of what it could have been in the Blumhouse house, and it was all right. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either. There was a lot of black walls, but seeing Bagul up close was pretty exciting. The costume was very good, very well done. I think one of my favorite scenes was the rat church sequence. There was quite a good jump scare from the projector scene as you're moving through. From what I understand, there was a bit more that was going to go on for the scene, but I guess they didn't end up doing it. I wasn't sure too much what that was, but still kind of cool seeing it recreated in a live environment. And then the final sequence was just you getting attacked through Black Wall by Bagul and then Purgers. So overall, Blumhouse was a little better than Jigsaw in terms of scares, but payoff wise was a little bit disappointing. It just seemed like a throw-in maze, like there was something that was supposed to be there but unfortunately couldn't get done, and so they just threw together Blumhouse. That's how it feels to me, like probably in the planning stage of something that was going to be there but it wasn't, and it just seems like a mixed match of mazes. So I would give it 2.5 out of 5. The only thing I really enjoyed was the Sinister sequence, but even that wasn't as good as it could have been if it was a full maze. I think they should have just gone with a Sinister full maze and done something a little bit different. Moving on, we have Titans of Terror. Now this is another one I was really looking forward to with Jason, Leatherface, and Freddy all in the same maze. Unfortunately, Michael was missing. Now there's a lot of speculation on why Michael was missing. I personally believe the theory that because Michael's getting a new film, that they're maybe saving it for 2018, which I hope, because a Halloween maze would be great to see again. I know we've had two, but I really enjoyed both, and it would be great to see Michael come back into the event. And it would like to see the Titans of Terror with Michael again as a full maze. That would have been great. But overall, really enjoyable. I know some of the sets were reused, and I know a lot of people, a lot of updaters are turned off by reused props. Same here. I mean, you recognize them, but in this occasion I understand, because you're bringing back familiar characters that have been at the event multiple times, not just once, not just twice, but more than 3 times. So you're looking at props that if you're going to use them, go for it. This is one I can totally forgive, and I would give this one a 4 out of 5 just because it was really enjoyable. I like the idea behind it. I love John's idea, that John and the creative team's idea, that to make it basically a facade of a Halloween haunt with a kid that obsesses over these films and he's watching them. I love John's cameo in the TV. That was fantastic to kind of watch. I really wanted to just stand there and watch it, but unfortunately both times we had a queue. So Titans of Terror, really enjoyed it. Set wise, transitions maybe could have been a bit better. I think the only character that made me jump during the transition scenes was Jason. I wish there was more kind of Leatherface jumps. Leatherface just seemed to be pushed kind of to the side a little bit, but yeah, it's whenever he would come out, he was kind of at a distance. Like you would see one actor work, like would be working with another actor, and then he would just come out from a distance to you. And what scares me the most are chainsaws at close proximity, and if they had done that, I think it would have been a lot more frightening. But nevertheless, the enjoyment of this maze can't be undermined. It was very enjoyable. So definitely, I would give this a 4 out of 5. So those are the mazes. So the top 3 for me would be Insidious, Shining, and Titans of Terror. Sorry. So, what about the scare zones? Well, there wasn't a lot this year. There was the Trick or Treat, not based on the film that Orlando had. I wish we got that, but there was the front scare zone for the park. Highly enjoyable. We got some good footage of it, of people being scared. In fact, there was a little boy when we were sitting down after going to Titans of Terror. One of the bunny, I think it was the bunny guy. No, it was the scarecrow guy. Sorry, and he would just sneak up on this little boy with his family, and he freaked out, and he ran behind us, and this guy would not leave him alone. Like I think he jumped one of the fences. So that was really funny to watch. I wish we got footage. My camera ran out of battery at the time, and which was a shame. But it was really funny. I think the highlight scare zone for me, for sure, would have been the Urban Inferno maze down on the lower lot. Now that was a lot longer than, say, the Purge one, or it felt longer. It was really enjoyable. The sets were really cool. The ambiance was really well done. The music just blew it away. The scare actors were in it. They were involved every step of the way. They were really great. Kudos to the scare actors this year. I mean, they did a great job. But yeah, Urban Inferno was really good. We didn't get that many scare zones, apart from the only other one that was there this year was the Toxic Tunnel. And as always, it's a rave in a tunnel. It's not that frightening, but it was enjoyable for a laugh. The strobe is intense, and I think some people might have been affected by that quite significantly. But it's always, like I said, it's always a laugh. It is always fun. I'd say the highlight scare zone for this year would be Urban Inferno. There was no scare zone on London Street or the French Quarter, which is unusual. Normally there is. I mean, Hollywood's not really known for its scare zones, but at least there's multiple ones. Like London scare zone usually has one, and the French Quarter, and there was none this year. I don't know whether it was budget reasons, but it was kind of disappointing. The park was lacking in scare zones, and this is something that a lot of people want to see, is more scare zones at Hollywood, because when you go to Hollywood, you want to experience fear from the second you walk into the park. You want to be immersed into this world, and the problem with Hollywood is it does always seem to lack in scare zones. When you go to the lower lot, you're free game. It used to be, back in the day, it used to have quite a few scare zones scattered around, but they've cut back now. My best guess is probably it's budgetary, which is understandable, but it is kind of sad at the same time. Can we just take the budget from Jabberwockies and just give it to the scare zones? Because really, honestly, the less that's said about that show, the better. I mean, I know that's not part of HHN's creative team, but yeah, it's totally a distraction. But anyway, last but not least is the Terror Tram. Now, the Terror Tram was alright. Like, I was really psyched for it. I like the idea of Titans of Terror. We had Freddy, Jason, and Leatherface on the back lot before, previously, and I really enjoyed that. But this one felt shorter. Now, they cut off the top hill segment, which extended the tram tour, and I think that was a mistake, because yes, I know it's a big hill to walk up of, but it extends the length of time you're doing the tram tour. It just, without that, it just feels like it goes by really quick. Some of the sets just felt hodgepodge, kind of mismatched. The Bates Motel probably would have worked better, I think, for Leatherface personally. Maybe the top with Jason in a mini maze up the top, and then Freddy's really hard to do. He did get a few scares when I went on there, not from me, but from a few of my friends, so it was successful in that regard. But it felt lacking, and if I had to rate it, I'd say probably a 2.5 out of 5, because it had a few moments where it was kind of cool to see these characters on out in the open, but at the same time it was really hard. Like if they had done the hill segment, it would have been cool to have Jason up in the wooded area, Leatherface down the bottom, and then maybe Freddy in the final segment. I think that would have been a bit more successful run for that. I think they should open up the hill again, and have one segment where people who have struggling going up the hill go to the right, where it's a bit easier, and then for people who want that extended experience to go all the way up the top. But yeah, that's my thoughts on all the attractions for Halloween Horror Nights 2017. Overall, what did I think of the event? It definitely did not live up to 2016's amazing lineup. Last year, I still have fond memories. I always look back at it fondly. This year just seemed lacking. Some of the mazes just felt like you picked it out of a hat. There was no real consistency. I guess you could argue Hollywood's never been known for its consistency in terms of maze theming. That's more Orlando. Orlando tends to do a bit more of a theme for when they do an event. They kind of tie it together. But like I said, Horror Nights is always an enjoyable event, no matter when or what year I go to. So, yeah, I could see. I'm hoping 2018 does kind of improves and goes back to 2016's level of lineups, because last year was amazing, really enjoyable. But 2017, unfortunately I have to give a low 3 out of 5. It was average at best. It wasn't over the top amazing like last year was. It was a little bit disappointing. But we can hope for the future. 2018, fingers crossed. Hopefully that's going to be amazing. But overall, what did you guys think? I'd love to hear what you guys think. If you went to the Hollywood event, let me know in the comments below. Like I said, I'm so sorry I'm having to use my webcam to do this. But I wanted to get this out to you guys as quickly as possible. But let me know in the comments below, what did you think? If you went to Orlando, let me know what you think. I'd love to know what you guys think. I will be doing a merch review for Halloween Horror Nights 2017 Hollywood. I'm wearing the shirt right now. The best nightmares never end, I believe. Yeah, totally forgot what the thing was there. But I will be doing a review. I will also be doing a free thought video on Not Scary Farm as well. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that. If you like these videos, please feel free to like and subscribe. Until the next time, David signing off.